And blessed to be with you. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Do want to remind you we are at Independence Indoor Shooting, where you have another hour that you can shoot for free, thanks to our friends at Independence Indoor Shooting. And check out our website or the KIDO Talk Radio app to find out what you can win when you're talking about the Girls with the Guns 2019, man. So many girls, so many guns. We are looking forward to, once again, providing you a chance to win some great prizes and really enjoy America. Joining us now is Karen Lugo. She's an attorney who served as the director of the Center for the 10th Amendment Action and the Texas Public Policy. And we appreciate her joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to be with you. And I have to say that I moved from California to be a girl with a gun in Texas. So I was just listening.
Well, we welcome the girls with the guns, and I wish you would have moved to Idaho. We have a lot of people of your ilk here.
I may yet. You never know.
Let's take a look at just the state of things. When you look at this whole battle, you have the Attorney General, you have the President speak about the census, speak about the citizenship question. Karen, what's at stake here?
A lot. It's not just the instinctive reaction on the part of most Americans who say, wait, what? I mean, isn't this just common sense? I mean, don't we have a duty to know who is here and eligible to vote and here is a citizen? But what's also at stake is what President Trump outlined yesterday as he announced that indeed he will still collect the information for the 2020 census. He is just going to obtain it from federal agencies to supplement the census because the Supreme Court did not leave him enough time to go back through the procedural hoops that he would have to go through to get it actually attached to the questionnaire. But his three basic objectives in asking this question, as he has now clearly outlined, have to do with, one, how many can we assimilate and how fast? Assimilation is such a critical issue considering all of the refugees that we're still contending with that came in under the Obama administration. And some states are really staggering under that burden. Number two is, are they coming as independent individuals and families, or do they intend to rely on our social fabric, our network of social safety systems? And this is an important question. In the past, we've always expected immigrants to have a sponsor and to be responsible to pay their own way, in a sense. And then third, he wants to know because he wants to understand how states like California may be gaming the system and by being a magnet for illegal immigrants, currently offering health care for free, which they don't even give to their own resident citizens. So California picking up 3 to 6 congressional districts due to this influx, this shift of illegal immigrants, and therefore powerful representation through gaining these congressional districts that, by the way, have come from other states. It's a zero-sum game. We only have 435 total, period, congressional districts available in the nation. So now Alabama is suing because they expect to lose a seat. And, of course, likely that goes to California. So this is where it is vital that we know who is here as a citizen, who is eligible to vote, and who is here lawfully residing as a non-citizen, but very importantly, who is here as an illegal immigrant.
It's crazy how California is gaming the system, and other states, as you said, Karen, are losing representation here on KIDO Talk Radio. I don't really understand it. I mean, and I think most Americans outside the coast don't understand. If you're not a citizen, you shouldn't be counted on the census. The census was there to count citizens, not residents.
Congress is in charge of so much that Congress doesn't seem to want to acknowledge. They have a job, a duty, a role when it comes to everything: citizenship, naturalization, immigration. It's one of the few things that was spelled out in the Constitution, giving Congress or one of the branches of government plenary power or original power over. So this is something that because Congress has not been active in helping to better define what our asylum laws are, what our border situation is, and what questions are on the census. Incidentally, Congress in the past has removed a question about religion from the census. In this case, Congress has delegated the question development for the census to the Commerce Department, and so President Trump has been involved and taken a role of leadership with the Commerce Department to have this question asked. And again, due to the Supreme Court ruling, he is going to do it now indirectly. He'll gather the information via federal agencies. So, yes, I mean, it is vital information. Congress needs to have this. The states must understand this as they are apportioning congressional districts. The Supreme Court has left open the question as to whether states can actually apportion districts according to who is an eligible voter and not having to do it based on entire general population of, quote, persons residing in a state. So let the states take their approach to electoral methods as they see is most appropriate for their state.
Karen, how do you think this thing plays out, and what did you make of the Supreme Court's decision?
Obviously, we can expect that most anything that President Trump wants to do will be challenged by the Democrats. So as far as how it plays out, we can anticipate that there will be a fight. And whether the courts continue to respond in a political fashion is going to be interesting to watch. And looking at a lot of the history of the census kind of mission and what presidents have wanted the census to ask, as far back as Thomas Jefferson, there was a specific inquiry into who is a citizen and who is here as an alien. It wasn't in that day a matter of concern about illegal or unlawful aliens. It was simply a matter of wanting to know, because states had developed their own laws regarding citizenship and the country was transitioning to a federal kind of a system. So it is not a radical kind of a question, and indeed goes to the very heart of what is Congress's responsibility. So it was really encouraging, of course, to see that the Supreme Court absolutely, definitely, clearly agreed with the constitutional basis for asking this question. Are you a U.S. citizen? They just quibbled with the way that the rationale for the question was developed, and hence it just wound up being logistically too difficult to put the question on for 2020. But President Trump is moving to put it on for 2030 and restoring it to the community survey.
Karen, if people want more information about you and how they can stand up for states' rights, what can they do?
First of all, the organization that is investigating all of these developments and reporting on them is citizenshipcounts.org. And then I am tweeting out any developing information and some great articles and resources at Karen for Libertas.
Well, Karen, thank you.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
All right. There we have it. A person from California that is moving, or that moved to Texas. She hasn't moved to Idaho. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. A couple of disturbing stories locally. And, you know, this is the time where people go crazy. This is the time when people have the road rage. And I understand this morning we've got the special circumstances because power was out in Eagle. I believe it's still out in Star. We'll get an update from Dave Burnett in a minute. But this shows you how dangerous our beloved Treasure Valley has become. And this is why I believe that you need to go to Independence Indoor Shooting between now and 9 o'clock and shoot like Carl and his wife did. They were there before the promotions team got there. They were there before the folks at Independence Indoor Shooting got there this morning because they wanted to fire some weapons for free. Thank you, Independence Indoor Shooting, for doing that. Dave Petzo's down there right now. Check him out. We would love for you to be a part of it. Independence Indoor Shooting in Meridian, Idaho. But here is a troubling fact. And maybe you have good relationships with your neighbors. Maybe you don't. My neighbors, for me personally, they're great. Wonderful. Couldn't ask for better neighbors. But sometimes that often isn't the case. A Meridian man is facing charges after police say he fired a gun at a man and a woman in the backyard of a Meridian home earlier this week. Robert Wolfgang Joffrey, 38, faces 2 felony counts of aggravated assault as well as misdemeanors for resisting arrest and possession of, you guessed it, drug paraphernalia. So according to the police officers, they were called to a home in the 1400 block of Franklin Road for a report of shots fired by a suicidal suspect. When the police arrived at the home, they were met by several adults and children who were in fear for their safety. Apparently, according to investigators, they learned that Joffrey had been distraught in the backyard with a gun before police arrived. When a woman at the home went out to try to talk to him, I guess this was her backyard, he told her to leave and fired a gun at her and a man who was standing nearby. Now, police, worried about public safety, got the bystanders out of the home. They approached Joffrey, took him into custody, put him in the cuffs, and then when he was in the cuffs, he tried to resist arrest. Officers found a metal marijuana pipe. When they searched Joffrey, he was arrested and booked into the Ada County Jail. Right? This is how dangerous people have become. Now, I don't know what Mr. Joffrey is. He's innocent until proven guilty, but you don't resist arrest. You don't fire guns at people. Again, we're used to reading about these stories in other states. And then you have a tragic case. And maybe you heard the story about Maggie at the top of the hour when you were talking. You have this, they're on the lookout for this man who was trying to grab a little girl. Now, again, we used to talk about these things not happening in Idaho. Nampa police are looking for a man who tried to entice a child at a Nampa park Thursday. That's at West Park off Lone Star Road. The police say a man approached a young girl and tried to take her by the hand. Thankfully, an adult said, "Get out of here, punk." Well, he didn't say that, but the adult confronted him. He left the park in a van. Police are looking for a white man in his 40s, bald and clean-shaven, wearing glasses and a gray shirt. Call Crime Stoppers if you have more information, 208-343-COPS. But we have people trying to harm little kids in Idaho. And then sadly, we have the case of a woman in Boise, 27 years old. Boise police say she left her 3 children alone in a car when she ran into the store. Now, didn't we just have this big thing about how you're not supposed to leave your pets in your car? Didn't the Idaho Humane Society just issue a press release basically telling us not to do that? Right? And then we have this. An 8-year-old, 22-month-old, and a 1-month-old had been in the car for about 20 minutes by the time officers arrived, according to Boise PD. You don't have to be a parent to say this is just a horrible situation. The car was unlocked. By the way, when we have predators around, you've got an 8-year-old, a 22-month-old, and a 1-month-old in a car. Yesterday, what, it was like 92? The car was unlocked and turned off with 2 windows partially down. Police say the children were sweating, but they were okay. The mother came out of the store after the officers arrived. Paramedics were called to check out the children to determine if they were okay. They were fine. Now, the mother is charged. Big time. Arrested and booked Ada County Jail, currently working on a $5,000 bond, due back in court July 23rd. St. Alphonsus emergency physician Tyler Harris says this can become very dangerous very quickly when we're talking about leaving kids and pets, anybody in a hot car. Now, again, do you take the kids away from her? I mean, do you just sit there and say, look, you can sit back and say, well, what do you think? If you endanger your kid, there have to be penalties. 3 felony counts of injury to a child. Yes, if you endanger your kid, then you have an issue. And if you don't have enough common sense to look after an 8-year-old, a 22-month-old, a 1-month-old, all gifts from God, then you need to spend some time in the pokey. The liberals will say, oh, that's too much of a crime. Look, the penalty is too harsh. The kids were fine. You're overreacting. Better we overreact than we lose a child because of a parent's stupidity. Like I said, we have these public service announcements about leaving pets in cars and pets on pickup trucks, right? You leave your kid in a car in this type of heat, you should do some time. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Rolling right along, so you have a 27-year-old woman charged with three felonies because she left her kids, an 8-year-old, a 22-month-old, and a 1-month-old, in her car for 20 minutes. Police officers arrive and say she's in custody now. We have to protect our children. You've got the story in Nampa where some guy in his 40s with a van, creepy, trying to solicit children. We've said this forever. The greatest gift God gives us outside our own lives is that of children. We must protect the children. Jesus said, let the children come to me. And then we have the story in Meridian where some guy fired a weapon and, well, the police took him into custody. Crazy times. What isn't crazy is that we're at Independence Indoor shooting for free till 9 o'clock. I am back at the studio, but stop by, say hello, register to win the tickets to see Garth Brooks for free, pair of tickets. We'll have the drawing for that, and we'll let you know if you win. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. And by the way, if you're still in that Star Middleton area without the power, we'd love to hear from you. Speaking of which, 8:27 is our time. Kevin Miller in the morning, traffic and weather together. Good morning, Dave. I'm Kevin Miller in the morning here. So we've got these local stories. That's number one. There has to be accountability. There has to be responsibility. How many times in life have you made a mistake? Boy, at work, I make a lot of mistakes. In life, I make a lot of mistakes. Gratitude, humility, accepting responsibility, right? But too many times, society has taught us that we're all victims. Well, I was late for work because traffic was bad. No, I was an idiot and planned poorly. I accept responsibility for that. That's the lessons that we have to teach. And if you don't learn it at home, society will teach it for you. Let's go to Norman in Eagle with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Norman.
Hey, how are you doing, Mr. Miller?
Living the dream. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, well, I know I work retail, so I've seen, dogs left in cars. Typically I don't see any kids left in cars. And, personally, I got 5 kids that are in their 30s, and I remember 8-year-olds, and 7-year-olds, and 6-year-olds. I mean, you leave the door open, you kind of give them some instructions. They know how to open a door and get some air in that car. It's not like they were locked in there. And
go ahead.
Okay, but I mean, I
got a little feedback. You got a little feedback. Do you want to turn down your phone for a minute?
Oh, sure. I'll turn that radio off.
We're a little informal here. You go ahead and do that, and I'll remind everybody you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. And Norman, back to you.
Okay, well, I'd go bust a window out if I saw some kids in there that I thought were helpless. But I mean, we got 100,000 people coming across the border, and 100+ temperatures with who knows if they're their kids or not. And my issue is like, so these people are coming across illegally, and then they're dragging their kids across in these temperatures and all these horrible conditions, that I've lived in Arizona and it's hot, and I worked out in the heat. I installed air conditioning systems, but we give them all kinds of, this sympathy, empathy. But isn't that kind of a double crime? And I'll leave it at that. There's plenty of it. My wife, she passed, but she used to go like up, run into stores, say, "Hey, there's a kid in the car." You can't have that. It's hot outside. And I know she would go bust the window out if she needed to, but she got a hold of people, and they got a hold of people, and didn't have to bring it to families to make it to the point where they were severely punished through courts and whatnot. And then we let these millions of people travel through our deserts with their kids or supposedly their kids. Who knows? We need a DNA test is really what we need to do, and see how much we're being lied to by these supposed illegal aliens that want refugee status. But we have like this double standard in our country, and I'm getting so sick of it, and I'm getting so sick of these Democrats obstructing just what common sense law needs to be. And Kevin, I'll let you go ahead and reply to that. I'm going offline. All right, I love to listen to your show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Norman. God bless you, and God bless anybody that works in retail. God bless you, brother, and sorry about your wife passing. Much more coming up next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. More of your phone calls coming up. We're at Independence Indoor Shooting. Free shooting until 9 o'clock today. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. A couple big news breaks going on.
Secretary Alexander Acosta is leaving the Labor Department 1 week from today. Democrats called on him to resign after it was revealed he brokered a plea deal for financier Jeffrey Epstein more than 10 years ago in Florida, involving an underage sex trafficking ring. Senator Richard Blumenthal among Democrats who called on him to step down.
Betrayed his position as a prosecutor. It was secret, immoral, and likely illegal.
Acosta defended himself this week in a news conference, saying he bucked state prosecutors at the time.
The Palm Beach State Attorney's Office was ready to let Epstein walk free. No jail time. Nothing.
Acosta said after he intervened, Epstein pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, spent about a year in prison, and had to register as a sex offender. The state prosecutor at the time issued a statement saying, "I can emphatically state that Mr. Acosta's recollection of this matter is completely wrong."
There you have it. With analysis, Tea Party Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Living the dream.
I can see that. You've got a power outage. You have a lot of traffic. Things seem to be going along just swimmingly, right?
Too bad. A lot of people at Independence Indoor Shooting. Not you, though.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that. That's one of the few things I do enjoy. I just wanted to call this morning and let you know how we have no traffic here in New Meadows, and the power is out everywhere. And even if the power goes off, we have alternatives with generators. I had to laugh at the gentleman who called in and let your listeners know that the traffic here in the Treasure Valley is so much better than where he came from. I thought the same thing when I first moved here in '93, as it used to take me 2.5 hours to commute from my home in New Jersey to Port Authority in New York. I've seen the tremendous growth in the Treasure Valley, and I will tell you, the traffic is only going to get worse, not better, because the politicians that we keep electing have never done anything to fix the problem. And I don't see them doing anything currently to make changes that would give drivers any relief. And I do agree with Max. The people who bought electric hybrid cars are going to get totally screwed with the higher registration fees. The government gave the automakers a mandate to have better mileage on the autos they produce, and they encourage people to buy electric cars with rebates and incentives. But to what end? When they're going to ask you to pay a lot more for your registration, for doing what they asked you to do. This is typically what the government does. They give you incentives to do something they think will improve the environment, and then they tax you on the improvement. If you remember, Idaho's legislature raised the gas tax 25 cents last time because they wanted to improve the roads. And they did it in the dead of night to avoid public backlash. How much more do you think they're going to raise them next time? 25, 50, 75 cents? It's been known for some time that our Idaho government pays more per mile for roads than anyone in the private sector putting in roads. The people who get hurt the worst are the lower income people who need to get to work, and in many cases have cars that get bad gas mileage. So the gas hike is like the grocery tax. It's just another regressive tax that hurts those who can least afford it. It's time to tell the legislature to take the money for roads out of the general fund and stop taxing those who can't afford it, and stop doing stupid things like expanding Medicaid. People don't realize that 30 to 40% of the people who are on Medicaid can't even make it to the doctor's appointment. And a lot of the reason is because they don't have the gas to get there. When you think about how far it is in our rural areas to get to a doctor. Anyway, I've said enough. I'd like you to say hello to your mom and dad to me, and I hope I see them next week. And you can tell them that we don't have any traffic in New Meadows.
Wow. You like to?
I
You
hope
like
you have
to?
a good day today. Sorry
So
you
it
have to
sounds
go
like
back
you're
to
you're taunting us.
No, not at all. I just feel more and more every day that I did the right thing. It's kind of satisfying and gratifying.
Oh, good for you.
Maybe we can get a station up here you can get a talk show on. What do you
You're
think?
trying to recruit me to join you in New Meadows.
Why not?
My home is the Treasure Valley. This is where I'll make my stand as long as everybody will have me.
Well, I hope you have some really strong legs and big feet because you're going to need them to stand up down there.
Well, you know something? Some of us don't duck and cover. We run to the sound of the fire, the gunfire.
Yeah, well, I can run to the sound of the gunfire up here.
Always a pleasure. And by the way, you can catch Tea Party Bob, gemstatepatriot.com. Take care of yourself.
Take care, my friend. You have a great day. See you soon.
Thank you. All right, our great friend, Tea Party Bob. Let's go to Doug in Mountain Home with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. Good show. When you can catch part of it, you was having quite a bit of trouble this morning. Was that thing with Lars Larson's, was that a record? What's wrong?
I love this. Yes, we did have some. We just hold on. Just like Star and Eagle, we had our own issues with the power, but the power is still going in Independence indoor shooting. So there you have it. So that was a previously done interview with Lars Larson. Yes.
Okay, so was that a recording?
That allowed me to drive from Independence
to get home
to get back to the broadcast center. Yes.
Yeah. No, it was good even listening to that. I mean, I don't understand it. How many times have we seen that where they get voted in, all them idiots that are the Democrats or the liberals that are running that there in Portland, and then the people vote down their initiatives or their freaking crap that they put up there, and the people vote it down. Why don't they vote them people out, Kevin? I don't get it. Why do they vote for them and then turn around and vote them in again? I just don't get it.
That's a good point. Now, I thought you wanted to talk about kids and cars.
No. That and kids, with people leaving them in the cars and stuff. I probably shouldn't say this, but some people need to be neutered, period. That stuff needs to be taken out of the system. You go to Walmart and you see that.
Wait a
same
minute.
kind
What
of
are you
stuff.
saying? It means that needs to be taken out of the system.
I'm talking about some of the people don't deserve to have kids. They should be fixed to where they can't have them. Period. I've seen some of that stuff. And Walmart's one of the worst places. You want to just go throttle the parents. They just go in there waddling around with kids that are screaming. The time they walk in the store, they're absolutely screaming and tearing crap off of the wall, the racks and stuff. And the parents are like oblivious to it. It's like they don't even deserve to have kids. But the other thing is, is this government, these politicians have made it to where you can't even correct your own kids, Kevin, especially in public. Or you're going to have somebody from the law coming in and checking you out because you grabbed one by the ear or the wrap of the neck, the hair on the back of the neck, and drug them outside and beat their freaking you-know-what. So I don't know where to go with this. You know, you see these Democrats, they're the children, like Pelosi and Schumer and the guns and kids. Well, they don't care about them. I've always said that. They could care less about them. They use them as their freaking agenda. If they didn't have kids getting killed, sorry, this is the way I feel, they wouldn't have an agenda. They don't care about them, period. They care about votes. And whatever it takes to get a vote, just like that Norm or the guy that called in about all the people coming across the border and the heat and all that, they don't care. You know, it's just getting ridiculous. So I'll quit chiming in here this morning. I started out pretty good, and then I get pissed off. So I'll talk to you later.
Fair enough. Thanks, Doug. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning. Couple more minutes, Independence Indoor Shooting. Please stop by and fire some weapons for free till 9 o'clock. And do want to remind you, coming up, we'll talk a little bit more about the president and his big announcement yesterday. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Pro-Life joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, you know, suppose I was a teacher. Do you think I could take my students on a field trip to indoor shooting?
Depends on what school you were teaching at. If it was the pro-life school, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, the teachers need to think about that. Now, there's no age limit to get in there, right? If I wanted to take my little grandchildren in there and have some shooting with them, they'd go for that, right?
I don't know. You'll have to call them, 576 Guns, and ask them.
All right. Well, anyway, Trump.
Now, if you had shown up there today,
I could ask them.
You could have asked them in person.
Yeah, but I got to work.
Well, I got to work, but, you know, you can get up. We start a little early.
Yeah, but you work at indoor now.
Well, I'm back at the broadcast center, but never mind. Go ahead.
I know. Well, anyway, on the census thing that Trump ordered, that he's going to have all the agencies turning the information so they can determine the population and the amount of citizens versus non-citizens and all that kind of stuff. He should not do that. He can do that in addition to putting it right on the census information, and then they can cross-reference everything to see if some of the state census people are lying, because there will be some census takers that will be politically...
Let me just say this. We shouldn't even have this question because we have a majority of the Republicans on the Supreme Court. And it pains me to say this here in Idaho, in the Treasure Valley, on KIDO Talk Radio, that John Roberts is a traitor. And I hope that Kavanaugh will prove me wrong, but he seems to be in the Roberts court as well. Look, one thing I admire about the loony, lefty, devious little libs is they stay true to their kind. You never have to worry about Sotomayor, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or any of the other lefties all of a sudden getting a conversion to conservatism, do you? No.
Yeah.
But we have the bait and switch. You ever familiar with the bait and switch? You know what the bait and switch is?
Yeah.
Right. The bait and switch is, hey, they get you to commit to something, and then they switch it on you.
Right.
And I will say this to you. That this should not even be a question. Obamacare should be done. We should have, the Supreme Court should have taken up the everything else, but they sent it back to the lower courts when it came to the idea of the Bakers and the gay marriage and everything. Really, that's what it comes down to. And they're a bunch of, soft conservatives, But again, with all due respect to President Bush, who his administration was very kind to me in the radio show I worked at the time, the Bushes are not known for picking good justices.
No, they're not. And but hey, somebody on the Republican side could say in Congress, these justices, these Republican wimpy justices need to be impeached. None of them will even say that. And they should. Whenever you rule out of your jurisdiction, if it's a state constitutional jurisdiction and the federal courts take it in there, those judges that listen to something that's not their
what people are doing that listen to this show all the time? You know what they're saying?
Yeah, what are they saying?
They're saying, don't you have anything better than that? It's always impeach.
No, the impeachment.
No, they say that about you. They go, look, that's all you ever come up with, impeach.
Yeah, impeach. Maybe I'm from Georgia.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
They got peaches down there. Well, anyway.
Now that would not fly on a Monday, but it'll fly on a Friday.
Well, anyway, people don't understand impeachment. They think that impeachment means that you're in big trouble. No, all that means is that there's a charge against you, and then the Senate determines whether it's valid or not. And people don't even understand that, and they don't understand that it would take 67 senators to have a judge or a president removed, or any federal official, because Congress can discipline anybody except a member of Congress. Only the voters can remove those people.
Well, and you're just the guy to do it.
Yep. So that's my civics lesson for the day.
Fair enough.
When sperm meets egg, you can't kill the baby. It's murder.
Words to live by.
Yep. All right, Kevin. You're the best.
Well, thank you, Pro-Life. We only hope to stay around to be able to serve you guys for as long as you'll have us.
Yeah, well, we'll have you for a long time. As long as Ray Maya stays with you, he's the best.
Well, I bet you say that. I bet you say that to all the boys.
No, I don't. Only your station.
Well, thank you. Because I know there are a few of you that stray a little.
If I don't lie, well, I might stray, but I don't lie.
God bless Pro-Life.
All right, we'll see you.
KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. And quickly to Andy's email, here's a thought about how to reduce the traffic jams when there's an accident or a power outage. Have an Amber Alert type system. The DOT, state police, county sheriffs, local police, highway departments all know about an event shortly after it happens. These agencies have the technology and systems to make it work. You could buy an app for your phone, say $3 to $8 to help pay for it, and you would get an alert so you could avoid the area. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate your thoughts. Appreciate you listening. Ray and Maya, great job. To the crew at Independence, thank you for having us. Appreciate you. And everybody else, blessed to be with you. God bless and keep the faith.